Yes, that's us. Hi, guys. Nice to see you here on stage. My name is Viktoria. I'm working as a global partner manager for Sendcloud. What I tell my family and friends is I'm building relationships. If you guys are in e-commerce, you know what that means. We partner up with different companies that extend our product core and always try to find the best of breed, let's say. In a nutshell, maybe before we start, what Sendcloud is doing, we power connected shipping. What does it mean? We connect you to multi-carriers, we connect you to your tool tech stack, and also we connect you to your customers in the end. So we power the checkout, we go to the label creation, we do pick and pack, branded tracking information, returns, as well as carrier claim management, which can be a pain sometimes, but we automate that. And we also do shipping intelligence. So basically the whole shipping experience. And I'm very happy to not be alone on stage today and have Rob next to me. Rob, feel free to introduce yourself and tell us a little bit what Amorelie is doing.
Yeah. Hi, my name is Rob van der Boogaard. I work as a CX consultant for EQOM. That's the holding company under which we have several brands. One of them is Amorelie here in Germany, but we also support the service for brands in Norway, in France, and in the Netherlands under the brand name Easy Toys.
Thanks for that. So today, you saw the title already. It's How Shipping Intelligence Supercharged Amorelie's Delivery Experience. When we think about a successful online shop, we often think about an amazing website, we think about a great product, but what we tend to forget is that there is more out there, which means the shipping part of things. So once you sold something, it needs to come to your customer. And we sometimes forget how important that delivery, let's say, is. Today we're gonna focus on different aspects. So first of all, because Sendcloud is doing quite some research and also trend evaluation, we're gonna share some data. We want to give you some stuff with you that you can take home knowing what does my customer want currently and what kind of trends are out there in the shipping industry. Then we're gonna unpack the whole shipping data side of things, because based on data, you can make the best decisions to improve your delivery experience. And then we're gonna pull back the curtains on Amorelie, and what Amorelie did, what Amorelie faced, and how they solved their issues, let's say. So maybe to start, we're gonna start with some data, but no worries, it's not boring data, it's definitely data that you can reuse as well. So we asked online shoppers, okay, what is a crucial part of the whole customer journey, let's say? And they said 73.6% said that the delivery is the key point of the customer experience. So if this is the most crucial part of the customer experience, why don't we give it the attention that it should have? This is what we're also gonna try to unpack today. In 2024, Sendcloud did a research. We asked 4,000 customers across 4 different markets, the Netherlands, the UK, Germany, and France, about what do you want when it comes to shipping? What do you want when it comes to the customer experience? And we had quite some nice outcomes, and we're going to present some of them today as well. So you see that there are very different ways how you can receive your parcel. It's delivery to home address, for instance. It's delivery on a specific date or time that you as a customer can choose. Next day delivery, delivery on a weekend, but also delivery to a post box or to a service point. What we saw, delivery to home address is still king. Most of the people still choose that in the checkout. But we see a trend happening. It dropped by 9% compared to the year before. And what happened? Customers crave options. So we see that the nominated day or time delivery is more and more important. As a customer, we don't just want to receive the parcel, but we want to say, this is the time I want to receive it, and this is the place where I want to receive it. So keep that in mind as well, that this trend is going more and more. Do you see that as well? Because you work with a lot of different brands. Do you see that those options get more and more important?
Yeah, especially if you look at Amorelie, if you can decide the time and the place, that's really welcome sometimes for people to receive our package, even though it's anonymous. But they prefer to receive it themselves instead of a neighbor delivery, which we do never offer with our products. But also with other clients, especially the pack station delivery, it's really getting more popular, but it also requires in your checkout an option that you are able to choose one.
Yeah, that you basically see the service points and you just check the one that is next to your place maybe, or on your way home from work.
And that sounds easier than it is, because the service point can get full, and thanks to Sendcloud we get updates so that the service points also will disappear if they are full and they're not picked up by customers.
Yeah. That's very, very interesting. So there are ways to cope with those changing trends, let's say. And now imagine you bought something online. You have an amazing product. The online shop looked on fleek, but you wait for your parcel and it doesn't arrive. You get your tracking notification, hey, your parcel will arrive today. You sit at home, you wait, nothing happens. This is super frustrating, and it's also one of those factors where people say, I will not buy in that shop again because this has happened. So 85% of customers say if the delivery experience was poor, I will choose another shop to buy a similar or the same product somewhere else. So imagine how much money you spend to get that customer into your shop. They buy something, but they will still never come back. And maybe they will even return the parcel because it didn't meet the delivery expectations that you promised them in the end. We digged a bit deeper in that as well, and we asked shoppers, okay, but what do you value most about shipping? So what are the things that really influence your decision, not just which web shop, but also which carrier you use? And we saw some trends there as well. So we still see shipping cost is king. So 85% of the customers say the shipping cost is my top deciding factor. So 85% of the customers said shipping is my top deciding factor, which means that shipping costs still lead when it comes to the decision. But we also see that trust, so the 85% that I showed you before, play a very, very big role, because 77% of the customers say if my past delivery experience didn't match my expectations, I will not be happy, I will not be satisfied. We also see one trend which is quite interesting, because all of us would say, of course, I love sustainability. Of course, I want to use the carrier that is environmental friendly. But the reality is a bit different. So we see that here psychology kind of comes into play, because we say one thing, but we do the other. We say it's important, but currently we still base our decision on cost and convenience and speed first. So I'm not saying it's not important. Keep that in mind, because it is a trend that is over the years increasing. So having sustainable delivery options is important, but still take into account that speed, convenience, and especially costs are still on top of your customer's mind. Is it something that you guys experience as well when it comes to delivery costs? Like, what is the top deciding factor?
I see for all the brands for which I've worked, transport cost is something which people try to avoid. So if you have a threshold which is acceptable by buying 2 products, so your average products per order is increasing, that helps. Or what we did at my time at Levi's, to help people to reduce shipping costs, we asked them to be part of our loyalty program, which is welcome for marketing, because they have much more subscribers to their newsletters. And for the customer, the benefit is direct. They avoid shipping costs and return costs.
I think it's something that we all know. If we need to pay €5 delivery costs, we rather just order another product, so we don't need to pay those costs. So I think it's also something that most of your people recognize. No, it's not typical Dutch. I would say the Germans do the same. What we also did, I said, like, we did the research across the 4 major European e-commerce countries, and we also saw some differences there. So what's interesting, if you sell in France, we would definitely advise you to go for those service points in the checkout. Why? Because this is the option that French customers crave the most. If we look at the UK, we see that speed is still king. So next day delivery is something that you should definitely keep in mind and offer to your customers. Dutch customers love to choose time and date, so you guys basically love the flexibility. Yep. And we Germans, it's also funny, we want a lot of things all at once. So for us, speed is important, but also flexibility. So we don't just want to receive the parcel quickly, but we want to choose when it comes and where it's delivered to. So I think, like, after the data, we all agree delivery experience is important and it is key, but it's super hard sometimes to stick to all those things that you need to match to make your customers happy. What do I mean by that? When you choose a carrier, you often don't really know, okay, is this the right carrier for me? You go for the price, for instance, but you don't know much about the performance. Also, you see sometimes that deliveries keep failing. And those deliveries keep failing, but you don't know why. You don't know what's happening. What is the exception in the background, let's say. So this is something that is hard to find out sometimes. What we also sometimes see that merchants are a bit overwhelmed by those invoices that you get from carriers, because there are a lot of fees and surcharges and all that. And in the end, if I would ask the merchant, what is your end price of that delivery? Most of them don't really know what all those costs in total are. What we also see that customer expectations are changing, as you saw, and they are very different per market sometimes. So keeping up with those expectations is hard. And if you lose on that one delivery, if you don't stick up to your delivery promises, it can happen that your competition will be ahead and you give a customer to the competition because of a bad delivery experience. So keep that in mind. I have one question for you guys. If you would be so kind to raise your hands, and no worries, I'm not going to drag anyone on stage. Are you tracking sales and conversion? If yes, please raise your hand. Is sales data something that you are on top of? I see the majority of hands are going up. And now the same for shipping data. Are you tracking shipping data, like transit times, the number of exceptions, your carrier performance? I see some hands are going up, but it's not as much as sales data. So if we know that the delivery is such a crucial part of the whole customer experience, why don't we give it the attention that it also deserves? So why don't we treat sales data and shipping data kind of the same way? What we see that shipping is always seen as a cost point, let's say.
Well, to get back to your questions here, might it be that the shipping data tracking is the responsibility of the supply chain, where the sales and conversion data is the e-commerce team, and therefore there might be a mismatch between the two?
Could be. Sometimes we also see that the merchant's perception is that they think, I can't do anything about that. It's the carrier doing the delivery, so it's out of my hands. But it's not the case, because in the end, you will get the bad review on Trustpilot or wherever about the shipping experience, and not necessarily the carrier. But if we see shipping costs, we always see that as a cost point on our P&L. We don't see it, for instance, as a gold mine of data that we could use to make the right decisions. So this is what we always try to preach. But the reality, when we talk about how do you make your shipping choices, often looks like this.
Man, these new shipping rates are amazing.
Unbeatable shipping rates. Check. Returning customers? Check.
We are about to crush it, people.
The spreadsheet is basically writing itself. Great for the bottom line. No brainer, let's sign it. Did we miss something?
The cheapest shipping option could cost you more. Discover your total cost of shipping with Sendcloud.
So what we basically saw here, and this is happening in a lot of companies, the CEO says, hey guys, we need a new shipping partner, let's go. You get some offers and you see the cheapest one, you go for it. But you don't see how many Vismo questions there will be. So where is my order questions? You don't know how many failed attempt deliveries there will be. So you will pay more than what you see on paper first. If you are curious how you can find about your total cost of shipping, feel free to scan that QR code. There is some information that we put in there as well. But all in all, in the video you saw, there was a decision made just on the price. What we always advise is own your shipping data. And what does it mean? Take control, transparent control. Bring all kind of shipping data like transit time, the SLA, the performance, or even the customer service cost to one place to have that one overview like you do with your sales data as well. And based on that, you can do much more reliable decisions and see shipping as a strategic part. If you would sum up what carrier performance data can do for you, you will be able to choose the right carrier, because it could be that in certain countries, other carriers are better. Even if they're more expensive, they could fit your shipping strategy much more. You will gain shipment visibility. What does that mean? You will get real-time data into your dashboard. And with that real-time data, you will be able to see if something goes off track and react to that. So instead of being reactive, you will be proactive and flag that shipment up front. You will be able to predict delivery issues. How does that work? Imagine you have a cutoff time in your warehouse. It's always Tuesday, 7 p.m. in the evening. And then we see in our data, wait a minute, the parcel wasn't scanned on Tuesday, 7 p.m., but it was scanned on Wednesday, 8 in the morning. So we know most probably this parcel will not be delivered on the right time that you maybe promised to your customers. So with that, you are able to predict 90% in advance if a shipment is able to get off track, and you can communicate it to your customer before it even escalates and gets a Vismo ticket at your customer support team in the end. And two things that we also should not forget that also pay into a nice customer delivery, but also into your e-commerce success, is hold carriers accountable and cut costs. You have certain SLAs. but you don't know if they are matching the SLAs. If you have the data, you have a much better negotiation base to sit down and to rediscuss certain SLAs that have been negotiated. And you are also able to cut costs, because sometimes, as said, those invoices can be a bit confusing and you don't know where those charges come from. And we also see that sometimes they are even incorrectly invoiced, so 15% more than they should be. If you have the data, you can prove it, you can claim it, and you can get it back as well. So this is what we advise. But this was now a lot of theory. It's now interesting to see how a brand took that data, but first they had some issues. And Rob will tell us very openly what happened at Amorelie and how they did that.
Thanks. The figures we have is a combination of EQOM, and part of it is Amorelie. So in our case, we handle around 250,000 tickets a year, of which a majority goes about order questions, shipping questions. So we've broken them down so that we also track them and also connect the carrier to it, so that we are easily informing our supply chain, which carrier in which country has a lot of tickets for our customer service team. So if we look at that in more detail, then we see around almost 200 requests per day about where's my order, where's my delivery, I expected it. And as you saw in the statistics from Sendcloud, everybody expects the next day delivery. But that's not always possible, or something is missed. Now, as soon as it's missed, we get a trigger alert from the Sendcloud platform into our customer service team, so that we can already decide, hey, this customer, let's inform him. So we make it proactive. Because it's proactive, and the first step in getting to proactive is start using the portal for Sendcloud. So as soon as we signed up Sendcloud with our warehouse, we had multiple benefits. One of them was one entry point to multiple carriers, because one carrier for whole of Europe won't work. And thanks to that, we can use last mile carrier delivery via Sendcloud. On certain trajects into countries where we sell less volume, we had little contracts, but thanks to working together with Sendcloud, we could use better tariffs. So we made huge savings in our deliveries. But besides that, we already had a portal for customer service where we could see what's happening. Besides the portal, we now also build out an API, which means that the trigger from Sendcloud is automatically going into our Zendesk, triggering a ticket, informing a customer, and putting it solved so that our customer service team can see we have informed the customer about the delivery, and so that we can also track if a customer comes back, yeah, but when do I receive it? Then we see the percentage of people who are coming back from being proactive delivered. That's huge. 98% doesn't respond. It's only around 2-3%, because we all gave the information the customer wants. It's not here today. It will be there tomorrow. We missed it. And also automatically, we might be able to put in a voucher for your next order or give you a small refund. Looking at the business case in total, if we isolated it, it's around 60,000 tickets just asking, where's my order, which we could automate. And these tickets are being generated and being held by customers. We have a lot of integrations, but now when we're optimizing it and also talking to supply chain, we're making changes in carriers, because the example Viktoria gave on a cheap carrier, if it handles a lot of tickets for customer service, and the breakdown for customer service is quite easy. Every ticket takes 5 or 6 minutes. We pay a salary, we give them a CRM, we have housing, we have rental costs. So €1 per minute is a normal tariff to handle your customer service operation. So every question is around 5 or 6 euros. Now, out of the 60,000 tickets, we were able to reduce it by, let's say, 20%. So around 12,000 tickets are now fully automated and not coming back to us. And that's a huge saving. So our investment in Sendcloud was paid back within 30 or 40 days already, because of handling a lower volume, having customers getting new information, and being able to split out what's happening with certain customers or certain carriers, because a lost shipment can happen. But what happens at customer service? Customer calls, he needs a replacement, he's already frustrated, because the nice experience is normally a thank you page, a delivery, and you have the product you ordered. But if you have to contact us because the shipment was wrong and we didn't see it in advance, That's really frustrating. Also for the agent, create a new order, send it out, apologies, and the customer receives it. Now, thanks to Sendcloud, of course, we still have lost shipments, but now we can have more proactive interaction with customers to already inform them what's happening and what we're going to do to replace it. So thanks to Sendcloud, our results are really 20% reduction in our WISMO questions. But besides that, as I said in the beginning, also in our supply chain operation, reducing the number of integrations and working with one big integration to Sendcloud is an ease of process. We also have other warehouses in Norway where we're also using Sendcloud. So we really have a unified information system for our customer service. All our agents in Norway, Germany, and the Netherlands work on the same system. So they have same view on information and data to be able to help our customers.
How did you guys do it before, out of curiosity? Did you have different carriers and you always needed to check different carrier pages, or?
Yeah, I think that's the downside if you work in customer service. You have access to all the systems of your company because you need to log in, need to be able to provide an answer. And in this case, before Sendcloud, we were having 14 different carrier portals, of course, per country a few, but certain agents who are multilingual, they work in multiple carrier portals to be able to give an answer to a customer. Thanks to the automation with Sendcloud, we freed up time, but also it's not the end of our journey together with Sendcloud because, as you touched, the AI which you're implementing can check invoices. And for us, we ship out between 5,000 to 6,000 packages per day, with a lot of different services towards customers. So checking those invoices, if all the services are being met, is a challenge. And with your new acquisition and integration, this will also something which we would like to use, because if they charge you for express shipment, but you didn't receive it, you would like to give it back to the customer. But you also would like to get it back from the carrier because he did not keep his promise. And before that, this was difficult to find out. It was very reactive. And thanks to Sendcloud, we make it predictive. I think the key lessons which we learned: don't ignore your delivery experience. One carrier doesn't work. Track your performance and really have a look and discussion internally by getting your customer service teams and your logistics teams together. Within Levi's, we had an issue in France. We always used the same carrier, which never asked for a signature. The only thing which was only stolen was always the leather jackets of 1,000 euros. And then you have an issue. Talking to your logistics from, hey, isn't it possible that if the order value is above X, use a carrier which takes a signature? That was at that time not possible in the setup we had over there. But here, what you also see, especially in Germany, but for sure in the Netherlands, certain carriers have a better delivery performance in certain postal codes. If you would be able to pin that down somewhere in your e-commerce engine, fed by a delivery company who has all the expertise, and get information from your customer service as well, or you have a flexible checkout so your customer can choose which carrier you would like to use, that will be a nice next step, which we're also exploring.
Maybe to add to that, what we also see sometimes, and I experience it myself as well, sometimes you choose the carrier because you like the person delivering the parcel, because you have the kind of the trust in them. They're always friendly, they're always smiling. If you're not home, they know exactly where to place that parcel. This can influence your decision in the checkout. But of course, you as a brand, you don't know if customer A living in Düsseldorf in whatever street prefers DPD or DHL. If you give them the choice, you're definitely going to improve your conversion end of the day.
Yeah, because I have a few carriers delivering at my home and they know where to place it if I'm not there. That's ideal. And if it's a new carrier, then somewhere on the step, hopefully I'm back in time to pick it up. I think other lessons we learned: implement automated systems. We try to design our customer service operation also for scalability. And having these integrations really helps, because on one hand, we have the data available, so we are able to answer to our customer. But I don't need to use one of my agents. I can free the time up. And the time which we freed up, we really use to be on the phone with customers where we can really make a difference. Because asking how do I get a return label, that can be answered by a chatbot or a help center. But if you have a problem with the package and you need a solution, that would be nice to be able to reach out to a customer service team who has time for you and be able to answer. And that's also thanks to automation, but don't rule only automation. Okay, so my 3 tips for the audience really would be, as you started as well, collect your WISMO questions per carrier. Try to get with customer service around the table. What are our agents seeing and hearing? Share it with supply chain and make sure that you have a dialogue, because this can change every week because of strikes, delivery, Black Friday, you name it. And look together for possible improvements, because the cheapest carrier might create a lot of tickets in your customer service area. While if you are able to play with it because you have a flexible checkout, you can really influence these details. And every ticket which you prevent saves you €5.
Thank you for the call. As you said, delivery trends are very dependent on the countries. How do you see the German delivery convenience trend evolving?
The German
these days?
trends,
Yeah.
For us still, like next day delivery is a thing. So offering next day delivery can be beneficial, especially when you sell certain products that require next day as well. Simple example, we all know that Valentine's Day is the 14th of February, but sometimes we still tend to forget and we want to do it last minute. So next day delivery in those cases with those kind of products is definitely key. But what we also see in Germany, that more and more service points pop up. We also see that some companies come together and offer a solution for service points, a shared solution with different carriers. We see a lot of service points next to supermarkets, next to train stations. Like, this is a trend that kind of, if we see France started more or less in France, is something super important, but it's also getting more and more into Germany. So that flexibility is definitely something to keep in mind. And next to that, we Germans, as said, with the sustainability aspect, it's still good to offer that sustainable solution and sustainable method in the checkout. Even if customers currently still go for the price, it's also something that has let's say a consciousness about environmental impact that you can also show as a brand, and we see that trend rising. So step by step, it could be more and more as well that customers crave sustainable options.
I think in addition to that, one more thing on the pack station or service stations, as you called it, within Sendcloud, we've also implemented that a package stays there for 5 days, that after 2 or 3 days, we send out a reminder, because otherwise it gets been sent back and it's a carrier return of which the customer said, I was on holiday, I forgot, can you send it again? And that saved also a lot. It's just a simple email, give a trigger, you still have a package to pick up at your place.
Hello. Have you also used the update mail to do cross-selling, for example?
So you mean the tracking emails, hey, your parcel will be delivered tomorrow. We see that with some of our customers. Maybe you can also just elaborate what you guys do. But in general, what we see that we offer that. Instead of giving the stage to the carrier, there are certain colors that pop up very quickly in your inbox when you have that email. The beautiful yellow email, the beautiful red email, you know it all. And those are the best newsletters you can have as a brand, because everyone is opening those emails. Even if we know that the delivery time should be tomorrow, we will still open it. What customers of ours do, they take that email and they put, for instance, their Instagram account into it. That they say, hey, I have a new collection, save 10% on your next order, whatever, just to bring back the traction. So I would definitely advise to use those emails and go away from the typical carrier setup to a branded email where you use it for your own brand and get the, let's say, newsletter that you would love to have with an opening rate that is just amazing.
I think the tracking email, where's my parcel, which comes out, is over 80%. None of your marketing emails have such an open rate. So by Sendcloud, you can get this trigger to create your own tracking email towards your customers. And I think that's one you really should implement.